Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and talk about how to build a digital fortress. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of what it really takes to protect our online world. I mean, you've all seen those terrifying headlines, right? Huge data breaches at big-name companies affecting millions of people. But have you ever really stopped to think about how anyone even tries to defend against that stuff? It's this constant, nonstop battle happening behind the scenes. Well, the best way to get your head around it is to picture a modern-day fortress. And no, I'm not just talking about one big tall wall. Think of it as this incredibly complex, layered system with all sorts of defenses, all working together to protect the super valuable stuff inside. All right, so before we can even start laying the first stone for our fortress, we've got to understand who we're building it against. Let's take a look at the enemies at the gates. What are we really up against here? Okay, first up is an enemy I'm willing to bet you've run into yourself: phishing. You know that email, the one that looks like it's from your bank with a super urgent subject line? Your account is locked, or something like that. It begs you to click a link and verify your password. It's all a scam, a digital con job designed to trick you into just handing over the keys. And then you've got the digital kidnappers. These guys use something called ransomware. It's this really nasty piece of software that gets on your system and boom, it locks up everything. Your photos, your important documents, everything is scrambled with powerful encryption. And then you get the note: pay up or you'll never see your files again. Okay, now picture this. An attacker secretly takes over thousands, even millions of computers without anyone knowing. They build this ghost army of infected machines. That's a botnet. And with a single command, they can point that entire army at one target and launch an attack so massive it can literally knock major websites or services completely offline. And of course, we can't forget the classics, the original digital plagues. You've got your viruses, which are like parasites that attach themselves to a file and spread when you open it. And then you've got worms, which are even scarier because they can wiggle their way through a network all by themselves. Both of them are built to do one thing: replicate like crazy and cause as much chaos as possible. So, with all that out there, all these different kinds of attacks, you obviously can't just start throwing up walls and hoping for the best, right? A good fortress needs a solid plan, a blueprint. And in the world of cybersecurity, that blueprint has a name: governance. And this right here, this is so important to understand. Security is not just some tech problem for the IT folks to figure out in a basement server room. Not at all. It's a fundamental business issue. Think about it. One bad data breach can absolutely destroy a company's reputation, cost them millions, and stop the whole operation dead in its tracks. It has to be part of the company's DNA. So how does that plan actually come together? Well, it's what we call a top-down approach. It has to start at the very top, with senior leadership setting the big picture policies. Then that gets handed down to middle management, and they create the specific standards and procedures. Then it goes to the operational teams, who actually set up the technology. And finally, it reaches every single employee because, at the end of the day, everyone has a part to play in defending the fortress. All right, so the blueprint is drawn up. Now it's time to actually start building. Let's get into how we construct the defenses for this digital fortress. Every fortress really has two kinds of walls. You've got the physical ones you can actually touch. We're talking locked server rooms, fences, security cameras, things that protect the actual machines. But then you have the digital walls. These are the ones that control the flow of data coming in and out of your network. They're like the high-tech gatehouse and drawbridge of our fortress. And behind those digital walls, you need some specialized guards on duty. Your firewalls, they're the main gatekeepers. They inspect absolutely everything trying to get in or out. Then there's something called network segmentation. This is brilliant. It's like building extra walls inside the fortress. That way, if an attacker breaches one section, they can't just wander around everywhere else. And finally, you've got intrusion detection systems. Think of these as the lookouts in the watchtowers, always scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble. Okay, the walls are up, the guards are on duty, we're feeling pretty good. But what about communication? What happens when you need to send a secret message out of the fortress or just protect the treasure you've got locked away inside? Well, the answer is cryptography. Basically, it's the science of making and breaking secret codes. This is the magic that takes your sensitive information and turns it into complete, unreadable nonsense for anyone who doesn't have the secret key. It's literally the reason you can use your credit card online or send a private message without worrying about eavesdroppers. And check this out. This shows you just how far these codes have come. The big deal here is something called key size. The old standard, DES, had a 56-bit key. Now that sounds like a lot, but a modern computer can brute force that pretty quickly. But then look at the modern standard, AES. It can go up to 256 bits. The number of possible combinations is, well, it's astronomical. We're talking more possibilities than there are atoms in the known universe. That's the difference between a cheap luggage lock and the vault at Fort Knox. Now, what's really cool is that not all codes work the same way. You've got symmetric encryption. Think of this like a secret password you and a friend share. You both use the same key to lock and unlock the message. It's super fast. But then you've got asymmetric encryption, which is mind-bending. This is more like having a mailbox with a slot. Anyone in the world can drop a message in your public slot, but only you have the private key to open the box and read it. This is the bedrock of how we communicate securely over the internet with people we don't know. But here's the thing, and this is a huge but. You can build the tallest walls, you can have the most unbreakable codes on the planet, and it can all be for nothing. Why? Because you haven't accounted for the most critical and frankly the most unpredictable element of all, the people. So what do you do about the human element? How do you prepare people for the worst? You give them a plan, a really, really detailed plan. It's called business continuity planning, and you can think of it as the emergency playbook. It tells everyone exactly what to do to keep things going when a real disaster hits, whether that's a hacker, a hurricane, or anything in between. And this quote, wow, this is a perfect example of what not to do. The security chief was confident an informal approach would be fine. An informal approach is just code for, we're winging it. And let me tell you, when a real crisis hits, winging it is not a strategy, it's just giving up. A fortress without a real disaster plan is basically just putting up a welcome sign for invaders. So when you boil it all down, you realize that building a digital fortress isn't something you do once and then you're done. It's never finished. The threats are constantly changing, getting smarter, so your defenses have to get smarter too. It's this endless cycle of planning, building, testing, and getting ready. Because in cybersecurity, the real question isn't if you're going to get attacked, it's when. And the only thing that matters is how you'll respond.